Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where we're double the host, double the topics, and always double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Charity.
And I'm Dan.
And guess what? We are still in the classroom.
Yes, we are.
School's in. The school bell just rang, and it's science class.
Oh.
What? You guys did not enjoy science?
I liked science until I got into
Until we got
fourth
into
grade.
I was gonna say I was.
I
junior
stopped
high.
liking it long before high school.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But we both had the same teacher, hence the same reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, are you on my team here? Are we excited
I
about
love
science?
I thought science was great. I mean, we've talked before about math. We've talked about grammar. I was never good at those, but science, I
Yeah.
enjoyed science.
Okay,
I
let me
get to
correct
not be a
myself.
downer this time.
I like science. I did
Science
not
was
like
great.
science class. So I guess we
maybe it
should
was,
we should clarify.
Let's talk about this experience, because I think I know what might have happened. When you went to science class, was it just a normal classroom?
No.
No, so you had the science lab. Were you in the science lab?
We had a really nice lab.
We had a nice lab.
We had
yeah.
a nice lab. Our teacher decorated it with sciencey things.
and you had the Bunsen burners, and
We
you
did.
had the
We had the
all the
microscopes.
chemicals.
We had
Yeah,
frog legs. We had cow's eyes,
we
sheep
did-
lungs, pig hearts.
pigs. We dissected everything.
You guys didn't think you were
We did
walking
rockets.
into a mad scientist lab?
No, because our
No.
teacher made sure that you felt stupid and humiliated once you walked in the door.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So, like I said, now I think is pretty cool, but it was just all in how we were brought up with it.
Okay.
So while we had the Bunsen burners and the beacons and the Erlenmeyer flask, you get to use that
Yeah.
word.
Ooh.
Even with all that, I felt like I didn't enjoy it.
Oh.
It was nice being hands-on because, like I said, I am a visual person, so it was nice
I did like
Having-
cutting things open.
having
Ooh.
to mix chemicals together. But the thing is, like, especially with chemistry, there's so much math involved, going back to math
Mhm.
and all the formulas, and that was stuff that I just didn't understand, and the teacher didn't teach us it well enough. I felt like everybody understood it but me, and that was what happened with a lot
Well,
of my
the teacher
classes.
that we had wouldn't explain. So I know one experiment that we did. And this is when we were younger. You probably did this in elementary school, where you take an egg and then you soak it in vinegar,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
it expands, and then you're supposed to take the expanded egg and put it in like
Mhm.
Kool-Aid or something, and then you come back and the egg changes color, so you have this big like colored
Yeah,
orb.
so
that's like,
Whoa.
the shell is gone. The shell dissolves in the vinegar, and all you have left is basically a full egg with the egg white.
yeah,
and the
and
yolk
it's
in
almost like the size of like an orange or a small.
I never
grapefruit or
did that. I
something.
want to
We
do
didn't
that
do
right
that.
now.
Oh,
That sounds
you-
really
Your
neat, though.
girls actually might enjoy
Yeah,
it. If
that
they
white,
haven't
sounds
done it.
awesome.
white wine vinegar. I think has to sit for 24 hours.
Yeah, we did it overnight, but
Oh.
then the egg will expand. Anyway, so we did it, but then we had to like report on what happened, like what was the breakdown, what chemical did what. But she didn't explain what happened. So we did the experiment, we saw the end result, but then when I asked her, okay, but what, I don't understand what happened. Why did it turn out this way? She just went, figure it out. And then she walked away, and I
We're
failed
on
the
to
project.
chapter 7 now.
Yeah. I don't
was
even remember
chapter
reading the
6.
book, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our teacher also, because Sarah's 3 years older than me, so my teacher didn't like Sarah. So by the time I came in, I was like, oh no, we have another Harmon. So I didn't stand a chance with that teacher.
No.
But I do love science, like
Yeah.
itself. I liked learning about planets and like
Yeah.
astronomy and
Mhm.
stuff. I always found that fascinating.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was really big into this was in high school more than anything, but they were called Punnett squares, I want to say.
Okay.
They were it had to do with like genetics and recessive and dominant genes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I hadn't
where
heard
you,
that
like,
term
create-
since you brought that up. But yeah.
Yeah, you create the little 4-square box, and then you put
Yeah.
like the big
Yeah.
big B, little b, and then
Yeah,
you'd have to like
right.
figure
Yeah,
out
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
chances.
Wow,
Yeah,
obviously I'm the only one that didn't do this.
I
have
totally
no
forgot about
idea.
that until he brought that up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is that like
Yeah.
the DNA thing?
Kind of. It's just talking about like
it's like the chances of like you getting
yeah,
like a certain eye color or a
probabilities.
certain hair color or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh,
like
okay.
recessive genes compared to dominant genes,
Yeah,
like to
okay.
get brown eyes or brown hair or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's really neat.
That was just. I mean, I have another. I mean, I have a very like non-sciencey science thing that is my favorite memory of science class, which was in middle school, because you guys were talking about. We didn't have like a big fancy. Our middle school had kind of this like weird tech science lab that we didn't get to use very often. But one of the things we did do is we got to play with Mercury. Not
Oh
like
boy.
hands on, right? It was just
Yeah,
like in a
can't do
vial
that
or whatever.
anymore.
And somebody
The
dropped
plan is
it
so
in our
far.
class.
Oh no.
And we had to just like we had to get rid of our shoes. We couldn't be in that classroom for a long
Oh,
time.
no.
Like it was great. It was an awesome memory because it was like, yes, we're out of class.
I know right what to do, Mrs. Smitherton. I'm going to take this and smash it.
Smash it on the ground.
No
Yeah,
more
so
school
don't
today.
do that. So
Yeah.
don't,
I used to do
that.
the old joke because we didn't play around with Mercury, but they did show us that in a little beaker. I was like, imagine they put a whole planet into that little beaker.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Oh, I mean, I had moans, but it was a joke. It was my joke, and
I
I'm
can't
so
even
proud of
get
it.
it anymore. I have a kitchen clock that I inherited from my grandfather, and I've been looking for a Mercury.
Mercury?
Excuse me.
that's how the scientists say it.
Yeah, that's right.
Mercury.
Mercury temperature gauge, and you can't even get them anymore. I mean, I don't know. Is it completely banned? Somebody
might
should
be.
get
think
on
so.
this. Is this a
Somebody
controlled
should.
substance?
Yeah.
Is the only way to get it is in a dark alley?
That
think-
paint, they're just side by side.
There was some parental figure that was like, "You guys, you can't handle this anymore. We're taking it all the way. No more Mercury."
There you go. Now, getting back to what you had mentioned earlier, Charity, as far as the life sciences go and learning about how circulatory systems work and things like that. And you mentioned cutting things open. Now, the
yeah.
first dissection that we did was on earthworms. Did anybody else?
We did worms, yeah.
You go to worms?
Earthworms, we didn't do that until I didn't do it, but the older students did. Our first one, we did the cow's eye. We did a cow's eye twice.
Yeah,
Wow.
and a sheep's eye.
Yeah, the first time we did it was actually in second grade. Like I guess they
Whoa.
were trying to do something new and like letting the little kids do something. So we didn't get too crazy. It was basically just making a mess out of a cow's eye.
Yeah.
But we still got to dissect it. We learned like what the lens and like we learned the parts of the
And
eye.
then did you have, because I did that in fourth grade, and Mr. Hamrick, he apparently what was supposed to happen is that the teacher stuck the cow's eye on the floor.
Oh, and then he stands on it.
He jumps on top of it.
What?
Mhm.
And then they're like, okay, and then they had, which you can't do
He
anymore.
picks
but
up a
he
student.
picks up a student, and then while carrying him piggyback, he jumps on it, and apparently a cow's eye can take 300 pounds before it bursts.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
So
What a
Experiment,
horrific
guys.
experiment.
No, we got older. We did like a sheep lung, a pig heart.
we did a full fetal pig.
We didn't do the full pig. That probably would have traumatized us.
well,
We
that was
did,
like in ninth grade.
we
or
did the
whatever.
frog.
Mhm.
The earthworm, we saw it. I think it was the juniors that did it,
or maybe even
something.
our class. That
Maybe
was
they came to our class and walked around. It was right after lunch, which was horrible timing.
Yeah.
Because you can smell it, and
Oh,
like
yeah, the
you know, it was-
formaldehyde.
and it was this big old juicy thing, and they're like, "Look, kids!" and they walked around up and down the desk with it, with all these pins out, and we were just like, "Thanks."
I will say, dissecting the worm was when I learned that apparently worms have lips. That was something that apparently that's always stuck with me. I was like,
They got a couple of lips.
I've never seen a worm pucker, so that's why I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, so thank
They got
you,
one at
science.
each end.
Oh my god, that's not anyway.
I was going to say many things, but I will let it go.
No,
It's science.
it's science. I will say, like, now in science class a lot for me, just because I was just trying to get the heck out of there. I studied a lot, even though the grades didn't show.
Mhm.
But the few things I actually remembered from science class that we learned the phases of the moon
Yeah.
and then the different types of clouds.
Yes.
So
And being in
Oh.
Kansas, that's
Yeah.
that's knowledge that you can carry and know what types of clouds are coming, because we get
Yeah.
them all.
yeah, the
All
one
17 of them,
the-
right?
I don't remember the the one I remember. The one I always remember is the stratus clouds. Those are the
And the
lowest ones.
Cumulonimbus.
Cumulonimbus.
Those are the ones where you're like,
Summer thunderstorm clouds.
Mhm.
Big flufferkins.
yep.
Yeah. But the phase of the moon, sometimes like I go to the Y, work out, and by then it's already night. So I'm like, oh, it's a waxing gibbous, you know.
What's the one where the moon looks like a toenail that's been
That's the
clipped?
Cheshire cat.
No.
It's either a waxing crescent or a waning crescent,
Oh,
so it depends
yeah,
on
okay.
which direction it's coming from. Cheshire cat, the Alice in
Everybody
Wonderland
knows that.
science.
It's science.
Of course.
Did everyone do the you probably maybe did this in third, fourth grade, make the typical either the solar system or the volcano, and you had to make it erupt? That's like a
Yeah.
typical
You always see that on
elementary
TV too.
elementary school
Yeah,
science
I think
project.
that's the first like chemistry experiment that you
'Cause we
do
did
with
both,
vinegar
yeah.
and baking soda.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan?
I don't remember doing anything cool like that. I think the teacher did some of that stuff, but like we didn't get to go hands on with a lot of it. I mean, I think the most thing I ever did for like a science fair project was like a Rube Goldberg machine
Oh,
with like
fun.
a
I
ping pong
always
ball.
wanted to do one of those.
Did
Those
it
things look
work?
so awesome.
Did it work when you did that?
You know what? The best memory I have of that was actually putting it together because it was like due the next day. It was super late at night. And my dad helped me like finish it.
Were
I
you
don't
listening
actually
to OK Go while you were making it?
That's right. I don't think I remember it actually. It probably worked all right. That's about the best I can say for anything that I work on.
Such
So
confidence, Dan.
Yeah.
I know.
Along the lines of science fairs, I mean, did the rest of you guys ever take part in a science fair?
I did. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember.
Man, our memories are just on it today. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
I'm remembering lots of things.
Yeah.
You guys are the old
I'm
farts that
always-
can't remember anything.
No kidding. It's
I remember
embarrassing sometimes.
Oh,
See,
same.
For the science fair, the cheapo one, I did redo the egg with the dipping it in the vinegar, and I was so done with that because the way the science fair fell, it was right before Christmas break, and I didn't bring my experiment home. I kept that egg at school during the full 2 weeks of Christmas break.
Ooh. It was a new experiment.
I will say that room had a very distinct smell.
Oh.
Well, I remember back then, Sarah, and I don't know if this still affects you, but for the longest time, Sarah could not stand the smell of vinegar. Like the smell would make her gag. She didn't want to be anywhere near it.
Yeah.
Like I think there was a bit of PTSD mixed up in it, but the smell itself would just set her off. Like she could not be around vinegar.
It was quite a number of years.
it was a long time.
It was a long time, and I was like, I couldn't be near it. Like it was just
that smell.
It was that smell. But I'm okay now. My eyes don't twitch as much as they used to. But for another science experiment, did you guys do rockets? Because
Yes, that was fun.
Because we actually, I don't think I did mine right. But it doesn't matter because thank God it was the highest one that shot.
As long as it went up in the air, you're fine.
Well, yeah, but mine actually was. That's one of the few times I actually got an A in the class. It had to have been a supernatural intervention.
How did you know it was the highest? Like
because when
you can't measure it.
No, you have your protractor, and they showed you how you would connect a piece of some kind of wire or string, and so if you're able to or if you're able to pick up the trajectory, like when it goes upward, then you can be able to measure it by how many degrees or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's science.
Yeah, it was something. And so as soon as it went up, and then everybody was like, "Where did it go? Where did it go?" Like it was so high, I didn't see it. No one else did.
Well, it had the little parachutey thing, right? That was
it had the
supposed to pop
parachute,
out.
but we could not find. I mean, we found it eventually, but it shot up so high, not even a teacher could see it.
Oh wow!
So that automatically gave me a good grade because obviously, if it went that high, I was like, the thing is that I was the last one to get it done. I followed the directions, but I just couldn't get it. That thing was wonky as all get out. So like I said, that's why I had to be some kind of supernatural intervention.
Jesus caught that rock and was like, "We going up,
we going up." Yeah. So I was like, that's one of the few moments I felt proud. I was like, yes, mine was the highest rocket. You know, so
teacher, Sarah's using TNT.
Sarah's using Jesus. That's not fair.
It's not fair. I want to use Jesus.
Everybody can get Jesus. All right.
But yeah, the science that's when it was fun when you actually understood it, and then watching a lot of sciencey type TV shows.
Well, see, no,
and stuff.
that's always the fun part too, because I want to say my rocket experiment carried over into physics, like the rocket experiment as well as the egg drop. Did you guys do the egg drop?
We did the egg drop.
But I think that's more of physics experiments than from the science class. Because when I think back to the my science experiment or experience, it was more for like life sciences and earth sciences and things like that. But did it kind of combine physics with science?
I didn't even know we were doing physics, so it didn't occur to me.
No, we did physics, and I didn't understand it at all.
Yeah.
But and different grades did different things. So after a while, we got it wasn't as fun. We spent we did anatomy, and then we did more of like human related science versus look at this explode versus do you know how a stomach works?
Yeah.
And then I mean that was cool. It was just the human body's cool. It just wasn't as interesting as seeing something blow
and then
up.
getting to the earth sciences, I mean, did it not destroy everybody's idea that you could dig a hole to China? And once you start learning the stratus of the earth, you're like, well, the earth's pretty big and there's a lot of stuff in there.
I never thought you could dig it to China, but I remember saying that if you dug far enough, you would reach hell. Did they?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be the Earth's core.
And that's like the really hot part. And so that's where all the sinners go.
Oh.
I'm not saying this is factual. I'm saying that's what we were told.
In science class? It's science.
Yeah, they said that's where the devil is. That's all I have to say about that. But that did freak me out for a good year and a half, I think.
Oh, sure.
Not that I would ever dig that deep, but I didn't want to see Satan if I started making a garden or something.
Not with our Fisher Price shovels. We only would have gone for maybe 6 inches, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was an afternoon failed project for me. Go ahead.
I always wanted it to be more like Journey to the Center of the Earth.
I love
like
that,
where there's a whole world, like the hollow Earth theory, all that stuff. I think that would have been more fun.
Yeah.
I guess if it was hollow, you dig, and all of a sudden you hear like where the pennies fall, and you just hear it in this hollow jar. It's like that's the center of the earth, a piggy bank.
What?
I mean, like an empty piggy bank, not all the earth's change just falls into the slot.
Empty. We only get money at the end of this.
Well, he was talking about being hollow, so
he was talking
science.
Science. Jules Verne.
Leaves you broke.
Did you guys grow up watching a lot of sciencey type TV shows and stuff?
I love Star Trek.
Science guy.
Oh,
Star Trek isn't educational.
Oh,
well, I mean,
certainly.
Or is it?
Watch out!
Not purposefully educational television.
No, TV is
Warp speed, Mr. Scotty.
Is that the best you can do for that one?
That's it,
Mr. Scotty.
Mr.
I feel like you
Crusher.
were doing Picard, but
That's
with
true.
Kurt's-
Scotty instead of Crusher. Warp speed, Mr. Crusher.
He said they're trying to cross contaminate.
Yeah.
We're trying to get more people to listen in, not cause more division. But yeah, like Terrence about like we grew up watching like Bill Nye. I grew up watching we grew up watching like Mythbusters, and
Mr.
the show like that kind of made it fun because we actually saw
because we weren't
stuff.
learning a lot in school. The TV helped a lot.
The TV did help a lot.
Yeah,
we watched back in the day Zoom when Zoom was really big.
Oh,
back in
Zoom
the
was my
2000s.
show.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah,
Well,
that
you
was,
were
probably too old
you were a
for
little
that.
bit too.
It came on right after
Grandpa
Zaboomafu on PBS. Yeah, that's what it's a
3-2-1 contact.
I do remember that. Now that
one was for your generation.
Yeah.
your generation.
Yeah.
But for by the time we watched it, it was like throwback. But it was a fun show to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that had mixtures of liquids and stuff and had things bubbling and all that.
How do you use science in your day-to-day life?
I mean, I would say generally I don't, but I'm sure that I do. Like, I'm sure in some way, I'm just like, I've never needed to, know what the inside of a frog looked
young
like,
minds here, Dan.
or how to, mix two chemicals together. I mean, I'm sure some people need to know that knowledge, but definitely not me.
Well, I'm thinking like cooking.
I was going to say cooking. Yeah, there's a lot of because the fact of water boiling is a scientific.
I feel
fact.
like I guess it is science too. I feel like with cooking or baking, it's more math, especially if you have to double up on a recipe or something. You have to see how much more of something. Like,
yeah, but it's still the concept of
like it's math and science, I guess.
of this much heat is going to make the bread rise, or it's going to make it fully cook. We put it in a magic box and hopefully something comes out at the end. That's what.
And my experiment is Pillsbury. Just crack that can open. Throw it in the oven.
It works. It works. And it
Every
tastes
time.
delicious.
Yeah, so I would say, I guess cooking is probably, in terms of practicality, probably the most scientific thing that we do.
I learned how to raise chickens. I mean, I'm not on a farm or anything, but I guess if I ever wanted to be on a farm and raise a chicken, I know how.
Yeah.
We had.
Oh yeah, you had an incubator at school.
Yeah, that was. See, by the time we reached high school, we had already moved to Kansas. So I guess in Kansas, it's more
rural.
We have more access to that. I don't know. Anyway, we had eggs, and we kept them. We had to like take care of them and come in on the weekend, and like you have to rotate the eggs so that the light doesn't cook them. I guess
that way you don't have hard-boiled chick.
The chicks started to hatch, and it was really fun to watch little baby chicks. And I didn't know chickens could be black, which were really cute. And then I don't know what happened to them. They probably went off to a farm and someone, cut their heads off and ate them. But it was cool to watch them grow up. So if I have baby chickens in an incubator on this farm that I don't have, I know how to raise them.
Science. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for all this science that we've been discussing.
All this.
If you have any questions that you want us to answer about science,
don't ask.
You probably don't want to ask.
Don't do that.
But if you have anything else you'd like to comment or add to the discussion, Sarah's going to let you know where you can reach us.
Yeah, if you want to listen to all of our newest episodes, it's available on all the different podcast platforms. We do archive all of our shows, and that's at doublestuffpod.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast, and on Twitter at Double Stuff P, and that's the letter P.
Spill the champ.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
She blinded me with fun.
Are we doing a remix?
It's more of a mashup.
A mashup.